good to have you here. Nice that you can make it to the Q&A. And let's talk a bit about the first things that came to mind for me were the show in the Ziggo Dome. I don't think that a lot of people are aware of the fact that you're playing there in November.
Indeed, yes.
26 November, Nightwish at the Ziggo Dome in Amsterdam, ladies and gentlemen. So, first things first.
Yeah. It's probably announced today.
It's announced today, yes.
So
yes,
it's
yes.
brand new news, and I am so proud as a metal band.
Yes, it's the biggest show in the Netherlands, I think, for you. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you have a new compilation out. I was wondering, when you do your tour like this that you're doing now, do you go through the whole repertoire every time to pick a set list? How do you select the songs that you're going to do live? How does it come about, the set list?
Yeah, that was an interesting choice for this tour in particular, because we're celebrating our 20 years anniversary by making a compilation of all our work. And so for the live set comes the same choice. It's really difficult because there were so many albums and there are so many songs. But we want to give an overview of everything from the first to the last album. And so we have one set list that we have been playing thus far. We've been in the States now for 7 weeks, and we just started our summer festivals. And so there will be a lot of those songs, so they're also on this compilation Decades album, and from there we can kind of vary a little bit, choosing.
Yeah. And do you, when you are starting a world tour, do you have in mind that some songs or some albums are more popular in several parts of the world, or is it? Do you treat every country the same, basically, with a selection?
Yeah, basically. But if there would be one song in particular, but we haven't really done that yet.
Oh,
so US, even though it is different states, it's still one country, so we have one set list there.
Yeah.
And as said, we have different songs we can choose from.
Yes.
And if there would be one in particular that sticks out, but so far we have been okay with what we've.
You must get tons of requests continually.
Always, and you can never please everybody.
No,
it's impossible.
That's difficult. Yeah. All right. When you know that you're going to play the Netherlands, is that what does that mean to you? What does Fortarock mean compared to, for instance, German festivals or a festival in France or in Finland even? Is it a different approach for you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Dutch forever. Even though I moved abroad and sing in a Finnish band, my roots are of course here, and I started here in playing in basements and in tiny little places and tiny, bigger. I've had the support of the Dutch audience behind me all the way, and apparently still do if I come here, and it's really heartwarming. I'm getting the chills here. Thank you, because it's
It's home.
It's home, and already when we played the Heineken musical on the previous world tour, we had one planned, and then we sold it out like this.
Yeah.
And then we sold it out again like that.
So.
And that is home. That just proved. I mean, I just did some interviews in newspapers where I said I hate the Netherlands for its music culture. But that's not for the people that have been following me and us forever, because I think every metalhead knows where I talk about when it comes to the diversity on music in the bigger media. People don't even get to choose. They don't ever get in touch with bands as Nightwish because they don't play it. That was where my beef was about. But coming to the Netherlands as a Dutchie now and in the past has always been with a lot of extra support, and that's heartwarming. And now it's Ziggo Dome, it's even bigger, and that is purely because of this and because of you. So now my time for the applause. Thank you. That is special.
Okay. Now that you, when you look back at the period in the Netherlands, you had After Forever, you had Revamp, and just when Revamp was happening, Nightwish came through. Did you ever consider finishing Revamp in some other way than it did now?
Yes, and I did at first. So when I joined Nightwish, in that sudden way, we just planned the recording of the second album.
Okay.
After a break. So, well, break, me being sick and getting everything back on the road, planning stuff and getting a new album ready. That is when I joined Nightwish all of a sudden.
Yes.
That meant that I had to adapt the studio planning and release of the second album, but I didn't say, oh, well, now I'm not going to release the CD or never finish it. I wanted to finish it. I wanted to tour with that for the people that had been waiting, both in my band as the people listening to it. So that's what I did. But that meant that I was on tour and making albums all the time.
Yeah.
And since I already had a burnout, I did not want to get another one. I had to make a choice.
Yeah.
Also because I would have to ask from everybody in Revamp to keep waiting for me.
Yeah.
And that's not fair. They are all great musicians. A lot of them are here today, playing in different bands, and that's that's what they should do as well. So
yes, cool. So when you moved to Scandinavia, to Finland, did it feel like a whole new start for you? Like leaving behind a period of your life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never really thought of myself as somebody to move abroad. It just came on my path. I tried to learn the Finnish language, which is really, really, really hard. And I realized that if I want to really learn it, I need to move to Finland. And that's a huge step. It's very scary. I did it alone as well. I moved there and surrounded by great people though, but still, there you go, different country. I didn't get anything. If there was a translation into another language, it was in Russian.
Oh.
Going to the supermarket, looking at the signs, like I have no idea. I need cheese, but I can tell you that cheese in Scandinavia is okay, but nothing like here. If there's one thing I miss. But hey, then I met a Swedish man.
Yes.
And talked English with a Swedish man in my home in Finland, which soon made no sense, but I did fall in love with the north.
Yeah.
And so it became Sweden.
Yes.
And my Finnish is, it never really happened, but I'm good at Swedish.
Okay, yeah. And given the status of Nightwish in Finland, what happens when you are in public in Finland? Do people come up to you all the time, or how does that work?
Well, Finnish people and Dutch are a bit alike in that sense, very direct, but also not, oh my god, that's So usually I can really get around normally. However, after the first beer or vodka, things get a little different. But no, it was all good, but I did really feel like everybody knows who I am, and I don't know anybody here where I lived. And I soon had neighbors coming to the door. Hey, you're playing on that festival, I'm your neighbor, can I come on your guest list? Stuff like that.
Okay.
Not much appreciated.
All right. Yeah. So, you were teaching, you've had formal training yourself, you are teaching online, I understand?
Not since
Not
years.
anymore? Not since years, okay. So, but when you look back at your own education as a singer, I was wondering, do you think that there's enough attention for this kind of music in education? I mean, you can become an opera singer, you can become a jazz singer, but when you look at metal or rock singing, would you recommend something to the educational system that we have?
I think the education system really shaped up on pop and rock. When I finished my high school, there was nothing yet more than more theatrical schools or the conservatory. But now there's Rock Academy, and there are a lot of different kinds of schools.
You were from the first year of Rock Academy, right?
Yes.
Or, yes.
Yeah. And when it comes to the evolution of pop music in general, the singing, not classical, I mean,
Yes.
there is a relatively short evolution of that. There's
Yeah.
only a few decades of knowledge about
Yes. Yeah,
the,
sure.
the use of a voice, while opera singing is hundreds of years old.
Yeah,
And you can really see that in the last 10, 20 years it's been growing a lot in knowledge. Like even when I went to school in the beginning, they said the way that you sing is not possible.
No,
You should
no.
not do that. It's bad for your voice. And I wasn't even growling or anything yet. Just the combination of two things was classically seen completely out of the, what is she thinking? But then again, there were already many, many big singers out there proving the opposite, and now there's so much more knowledge. So I think schooling is good, it's important, it helps you, but it always starts with yourself. You need to
Yes.
have
Yes.
talent, and you need to have the will and the drive to push through.
Yeah.
That's the combination. School is not going to bring you anywhere.
No.
That's you.
Yes, okay. When you started with Nightwish, you had a lot of catching up to do with the whole repertoire, and,
Yeah.
and now you're settled more or less, and you're thinking of new albums and your own influence in the band, I think.
Well,
I can
after
imagine.
6 years, yes.
Yes, obviously. But do you have, what's your ambition as a singer? Do you have other ambitions than just keeping Nightwish going and making that transition?
I don't have particular wishes at the moment because I'm very satisfied in what I can do musically and also with my creative energy. Even though I'm not writing, I'm getting a lot of freedom to make the songs come alive with my creative energy and my sound, and in that I feel very challenged. But
Yes.
I've always been doing side projects or something else, and I've actually been working on an album that I wrote 10 years ago that will come out this year
Okay,
in October, and that's rock.
okay.
Me experimenting with that. Thanks. Yeah, and other than that, I can't really. Sometimes I would love to record a super quiet album, but I, for some reason, never really got to that because my heart lies with the heavy stuff anyway. So the first thing coming up will be rock, and
Yeah,
we'll never
yeah.
know. And I love the natural progression of things as they come.
Have you ever been approached for a real opera album or something
No.
like that? No?
Oh, but I can do a bit of opera, but I'm not an opera singer.
No.
I like what I do, I'm proud of that, but the difference between a real, fully schooled opera singer and me who's had schooling, I
Yes.
think it's really there. And I heard an opera singer today that I thought, wow, I don't think I'll buy the album, but she's good. And like I can hear the difference. Yeah.
Yes, okay, alright.
So, plus, the world of theater, and this is so different.
Yes.
I fit it right in here, but I don't think theater would really be my cup of tea.
No, alright. Understand that. I would like to ask you one last question before I ask somebody else on stage. And that's when you look at your career from After Forever till today, do you see it in separate periods, or is it all one big thing, and you realize suddenly that it's 20 years later and here I am? I mean,
I don't know. There has been steps. If it was only because all of a sudden there was no After Forever, that was a real boom. Okay, that chapter is closed now. I've been sick for a year and a half. That really created such a break that I can't really see it in a fluid
yes.
crossover of 20 years. But I can also think sometimes, waking up thinking, I have been doing this for 20 years. Looking at my face in the mirror, yes, indeed I have. Time just flew by.
Yeah.
And that's great as well. And I see young bands now, and then I realize that I have been aging slightly, that I'm not that 18-year-old girl coming onto the festival scene. I do remember that feeling that I wanted to show everybody I'm an artist too, because back then it was so rare for a woman to walk into a backstage as an artist. And nowadays that's so much more common, which is a great thing to see.
Yes.
And to be one of the guys in that sense. To have reached a certain establishment within the establishment. That's a nice feeling. But 20 years now, that whew,
Yeah, like
like
that.
that.
Yes. Okay. So we asked Floor here as part of the Buma Rocks presentation of 4 Dutch bands here at Fortarock, and Buma Rocks is trying to promote Dutch heavy music, both nationally and internationally. And for a couple of years we've been doing this now, and I would like to ask Frank Helmink on stage, who is the director of Buma Cultuur and the one who started Buma Rocks, and he has an announcement to make.
A very nice one, and not one that is, I mean, you can see what I'm holding in my hand. But I'm going to tell something for about 30 seconds, I'm sorry. We started Buma Rocks 6 years ago just to do what you were telling a week ago in the newspaper, to try to get some more focus on loud music, metal, rock, whatever, as long as it's not just electronic music with dancing people outside, etc., etc. We started 6 years ago, and then you find out when you start a thing like that, it takes a lot of time to grow. But finally, after a few years, I think some attention from the outside of the world, outside of the Netherlands, but also in Holland, is finally getting a little bit of focus on loud music. What we also thought in this whole process of trying to promote loud music was, well, you have to have a special attention to people from Holland that are really pushing the loud music everywhere outside of Holland, but in Holland, but outside of Holland as well. And we figured out that we wanted to do a Buma Rocks Export Award. And one of the names that popped up pretty fucking fast was, of course, your name, because if there is someone from the Netherlands that is really getting all the attention to the right focus, the right way, to the loud music, in the whole wide world, it's you, Miss Floor Jansen, and I really want to congratulate you on winning the Buma Rocks Export Award 2018.
Floor Jansen.
Wow. Sure. I usually am full of words. I'm a woman after all, but I'm a bit silenced by the words that you use to describe the reason why I'm getting this. It profoundly touched me. Yeah, I'm humbled and honored, really, because I think all our hearts beat to the same direction of this music, the love for this music. And it's not about you or me or the band, it's about the feeling that this music transmits. And that I can be an important part in that whole wheel is very honoring, and I'm very, very proud that I get that type of recognition for a music where all of our hearts is bleeding for. Thank you, really.
Very welcome.
Thank you.
And I want to thank everybody for coming. Thank you very much.
Thank
Floor
you.
Jansen.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
And we'll see you tonight.
Yes. Thank you. Wow.
Please stick around. We have Foreign King playing here later on. So, and Doel later on today.